Welcome to the Fit Femme Project Alignment Podcast. It is here that we cultivate and gather all who have been through it in fitness, relationships, careers, lifestyle changes, and unforgettable crucial life pivots trying to achieve their most sovereign selves. We're here to provide you with thought-provoking, detailed stories and information from truly fascinating men and women from all walks of life, professions, generations, and modern-day sagas who speak to their rawest, darkest moments that made them the strong, decisive, humble, helpful, healing people that they are today. We ask them to hold nothing back because life is a multi-dimensional pursuit to be stronger, healthier, and more aligned mentally, emotionally, and physically. Let's go. Hey FFP ladies, what's up? Today we have a beautiful, if I might add, guest with us today, the one and only Rosada Plummer, an IFBB Pro group fitness trainer, certified personal trainer, and health and life coach. Hi.
Hi.
Also my lovely best friend. Don't tell anyone else I said that.
It's a secret.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy to talk to you especially after today. It was such a long day, and you just had a birthday. How was your birthday?
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun and family, friends, and tacos and donuts. I couldn't have asked for more.
I know. I saw that photo that you had of your birthday cake, which was donuts. I was kind of jealous. And Dan did such a good job. He had that personal chef catering, and I'm like, Mark, start taking notes.
Yeah, he had asked, do you want a cake? And I was like, no, I don't want to do cake, none of that stuff. He's like, well, you have to have some sort of sweet. And I was like, well, if you get me anything, I'll have a donut. Well, I didn't have a donut. It was 170 donuts. But they're little mini,
I love that.
Little tiny ones.
Yeah. Well, that's so cute. You could have a couple at a time. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm really sad I couldn't be there. That would have been really fun. But you'll be in town in August, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's basically next month.
I know. So close.
Well, not
so
really.
Close. I
can't. Excuse me. So anyway, I just wanted to bring you on today, as we kind of talked about, to talk about your journey and what that looked like from you before you even started your health and fitness situation, if you will, and what life was like before that, and then just kind of the struggles that you had starting, and just basically how you got to where you are today, because being a pro is pretty impressive. Yeah. From what I've learned.
It is.
Yeah, no, it is. It's, just doing, even if you're not a pro, just doing the work and getting on stage is I never ever want to do that. But anyway, so what was life like before you entered the gym?
Oh my goodness. Well, there was absolutely no gym. I actually was really scared to step foot into a gym. I had kind of a bad experience with a gym. So right now we live in San Antonio, but I came from California. So I was born and raised in Southern California. And a friend of mine, I worked at a doctor's office as a medical assistant. And a friend of mine was like, we should join a gym together. And I was like, all right, let's, all right. I don't know what I'm going to do in there, but okay. And so we went in, and they have the sales associates that try to get you to sign up. And they went over walked us around, went over the pricing and everything. And I was like, well, I need to sit down. And this is newly into Dan and I's relationship at the time. So I was still kind of a single mom. So finances were pretty low at that point. So I was like, I need to sit down and figure this out. Well, for a month straight, this gentleman just kept calling me. Are you going to sign up? You don't need your boyfriend's approval. You could sign up. This is for you. And just I finally had to ask him to just please stop calling. And I think from there on out, I was like, I don't ever want to step in front of in a gym to deal with that ever again. So I I didn't come from a gym background. I worked out. What I would consider working out was like HIIT classes, or I joined a jazzercise class for a while. Things like that was kind of, I guess, in and out of my life. It wasn't really something I consistently did. We were active, but not purposely active, if that makes, like, it wasn't for a certain thing or health, or it was just as a family.
Right. So just
That's,
if
there
and
was,
when motivation struck, you're like, all right, I'll go to a class.
yeah. Or like when we got engaged, it was like, okay, well, I guess we got to get fit. So it was like, what do we do? We'll join some classes, and
Oh, it's
we
for
did
your
that.
wedding?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Once I had got married, I never went back. So it wasn't. So I never,
I think
yeah,
it's
I
a lot
never,
of a people's experience.
yeah, no, there, I didn't really have, I guess that I didn't see that growing up either. So there was no like, oh, I probably should work out to get healthy, or a lot of the time it was for a set goal, like a wedding, or, oh, summer's coming, we should probably do like a challenge to get fit for the summer, or things like that, but never consistent enough for just health.
Right. Okay. So then what was the like turning point, really? Did it take that
So
turning point take a long time? Because some people are like cold turkey. I'm going to decide to hit the gym and that's what they do. But some people, like myself, um, it's more like, yeah, I'll have the like months of consistency and then a few months of not. It's that longer curve, right? What was that like
right.
for you?
It did take me a while still to get into a gym on my own. I think the turning point for me was after I had my son. We moved to Texas, and then when I was pregnant, and then I had my son, but we were out here on our own basically. So I had no family, no friends. I didn't really know anybody out here. And when my son turned 6 months old, a friend of mine threw like a baby. It was called library time. My friend had asked, "Hey, do you work out?" And I was kind of like, "Why do I need to work out?" And she was like, "No, no, no." Her sister-in-law decided to do it was called Baby and Me boot camp. And so at the park, we would join with our strollers and come on up, and we would do like laps around this park and lunges with your strollers. It
That's
was like,
so cute.
and it was mainly specifically so I could talk to moms. It had nothing to do with working out or health. It was just like, oh, this is a way that I could, make other mom friends and be around adults and not just my 6-month-old baby. So yeah, I started there, and I kind of just followed her. She grew from the park to the front of her garage, and then from her garage to she got like it was like a little gym, I guess. She rented out a little space, and then she went to a bigger space, and I kind of just followed her in that realm. And that was a year, 2 years, 16, 17, yeah, 2 years before I even considered joining a gym and adding in strength training and doing it on my own. So it took a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So do you kind of remember the first few times like you went into a gym to like weight train?
Yeah. So the first time I made her go with me. So she ended up being my coach. What kind of started the whole, well, you need to get a gym membership was on a dare of, hey, you should do a bikini competition. And I was like, yeah, not happening. I am not getting on stage in a bikini or doing any of that. Like, there'd be no way. And then my second thought was, like, what would my husband think of me on stage? Like, basically turning around, showing my my
Your
butt, my
ass.
ass, like
Yeah.
to the world. And she was like, well, you like challenges, so I dare you just to do one. And I was like, oh, okay. So then it led to
Wow,
like, well,
she
you need
kind
to
of
join
knew
a gym.
you.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, well, you need to join a gym. I'm like, oh Lord, this is a whole nother realm of like scared. So when I joined the gym, I was like, you have to go with me because I have no idea. Like, and I'm like very nervous. So I didn't want to ask, people to help me or how to use the machine. So she went with me the first time. So the first time was kind of easy because she was with me. But that first month of using the gym, it took a lot of like convincing myself every time, like sitting in my car, like, okay, you could do this. Like, don't make eye contact. Just go do what you got to do, and you could do it. And yeah, that's the first month was but after that, it just kind of became like you kind of get to know some of the regulars. I went at the same time every morning because that was when I had the free time. So you got to know certain people, and I tried to go as early as I could when nobody was there. So that helped too.
So during this time, when you started to go to the gym more consistently, that was when you started training for the first competition, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what was that? Do you kind of remember how many years ago was this?
That was in 2018, like
Okay,
the
so
end of
not.
2017, beginning of 2018. Yeah.
I was about to say it wasn't that long ago, but it kind of was, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Like
Yes.
the '90s weren't that long ago. Like,
that's
um,
my son is like, you were born in the 19s. I'm like, that's just rude.
oh my gosh, I've been seeing these funny TikToks where people will be like, "Oh, this music from the late 1900s," and people will be like, "I guess they're not wrong, but."
It's like, why you're purposely trying to make me feel old when I'm
Yeah,
not old.
it's so bad. I'm like, that sounds horrible. Anyway, okay, so back to my original question. This is when you were first obviously starting to train. So when during that time, do you kind of remember what it was like, the balancing act of doing this and taking it seriously while also being a new mom still, right? You were
Yeah.
pretty, he was young, right? So
Yeah.
do you kind of remember what that looked like and the challenges that you had?
Yeah. So the first thing was trying to find the time to go. Like, where am I going to fit that in? My son wasn't in school yet. He was 3. So he wasn't in school. I did have him in what they called like a mom's day out program. But it was, 4 hours in the morning, which I tried to utilize time to, clean the house, go grocery shopping, get all the things
Everything.
in. Yeah. So it was like, how do I fit that in? And that was only 3 days a week, but I needed to train 5, 6 days a week. So how did I? So I was that mom that took my sleep for granted and got the least amount of sleep because I got up at, 4 in the morning to be at the gym right when they open at 5 to get it in before Dan would go to work and then come home and then start my day with Mason. So it was finding and then having Dan understand that I needed that time in order to do this said goal of mine. So it was convincing him. And then that whole lifestyle change, like we're not used to that. He's not used to that. We're used to having our time or sleeping in. And at that time, training was not an hour. It was like 2 hours of my morning at the gym because I would try to do
Well,
my training and then my cardio so it'd be done. And then you add the nutrition aspect to it. And that I think was the hardest for me, figuring out how to have at that time it was meal plans, so I had to eat specific things I was told I was allowed to eat. So
no.
creating those into meals and then like making separate meals because Dan would look at my food like, I'm not eating that.
That
You
looks
can
a
eat that,
little
but I'm not.
bland.
Yes. Like you didn't and the starting out of being in the bodybuilding world, like then it was like, oh, don't have salt or the seasoning had to be salt free and like certain things that I could do now that I know
Jeez.
better. But it was just very like adding in or drinking water or which was fine, but it was like calculating my water, just specific protocols that he was just like, this is normal. Like, I had a meltdown one time. I can remember specifically having a meltdown one time in my first prep for, I'm cleaning the table off after my Mason was done eating, and there was a half a cookie, and it was like just instinct to grab the cookie and eat it. And so I did that because I'm like, I'm not going to waste food. So I just ate it. And then after I'd eaten it, I realized what I did. And at that time I called my coach full on bawling. Like, I just had a cookie. It's going to ruin everything. And she just died laughing. Like, it's not going to ruin. You're fine. Like, don't do it again, but you're fine.
Like,
certain things
red
like
flag.
That. Yes. This is probably not normal to be responding this way, but yeah. So and then the closer you get to a competition, you're tired and you're fatigued, and like going out just is not fun because it's like, oh, I have to pack my food, and then I have to explain to everybody why I'm eating this, or people look at you differently. So those kind of things were very much like, my husband's very outgoing and likes to do things and be with friends. And for me, it was like, oh, I don't want to do that. My body doesn't want to move or do that. So it's just not inconveniences, but trying to understand, like, I'm doing this, but I can't make them suffer. So trying to find the balance of, and finding that balance of not saying I can't. So, because I don't want my son to be like, oh, you can't eat a cookie. You can't eat, like, yeah. So trying to make it like, and he's 3 at that time. So how much is he really going to understand? But I didn't want him to see that right off the bat of eating food. Like, you can't eat that. Like,
Right.
why?
And have some eating disorder of his own. And it was
Exactly.
unintentional. Oh,
Yes.
poor
Or my
guy.
teenage daughter, my poor daughter is like,
Oh,
Mom, like, why are you doing that stuff? Or like weighing myself every day. All that stuff was brand new to me. So weighing myself or having to take pictures of myself for somebody to, look at and review. It's just, yeah, my daughter, she was like, this is crazy, Mom. I don't know why you're doing this, and she thought it was cool when the physique started changing, but still I can't, or no, I can't, like, trying to figure out how to balance that it's not
so
fun in the
what would you
beginning.
say? Is it like, would you say to them things that you also needed to hear yourself? Like convincing them, because you still need to convince yourself a little bit?
Yes. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was a lot of like, I can't, I can't, I can't. And then realizing that, man, I say I can't a lot, and that's not fair to them because they didn't choose this. So it's like, okay, Mommy has a goal that she's trying to attain, and to attain that goal, there are certain things that I have to, certain protocols or certain rules. For Mason, I would always say there are certain rules to, look like that or get on the stage and do those things that you have to kind of follow until you're done. And so I just kept changing that. Like, this is just until I'm done. It's not forever. This is just until I'm done. And if if I want
Sorry,
to,
ah,
do I need to
sorry, he just,
be recorded?
yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Switching from I can't to like, these are just the rules Mommy has to follow, or these are the protocol. For my daughter, it'd be like, these are the protocols that in order to obtain that look or be up on that stage, these are the rules that I have to follow and the steps I have to take to get there.
Okay, yeah. So how did your first show go?
So oh my goodness, it went better than I
That
thought.
was in Pittsburgh, right?
No, my first show was actually here in Texas, a really small town, um, like a regional show, so very small show. And because for me, I feel like I had a better experience than most when it comes to their first show, as far as the show goes, as far as how I felt physically. Um, I think it would be along the same that you hear, like, you're tired and you're hungry and you're cranky and moody, like those things. But the show itself, it was a fun show. They really took care of their competitors, and I think my nerves were much better when I got backstage and saw that I wasn't the only one that felt not that you don't feel ready, but that you don't feel ready. Like I wasn't the only first time competitor. I wasn't the only one who was like looking at each other like, do I look as good as that? Or, the comparison or but my first show went well. That was, I think, probably how I kind of got hooked was because it just went so well that I was like, I could totally do this again after I get some
Oh
food in
man.
my stomach. Like, I need to eat first, and then maybe we could approach this subject again.
I don't get it. I don't want to be cranky and moody because I can't eat. No.
It's really mindset over matter at that point.
I get it. Well, I get no.
I don't.
So, okay,
I still
after
ask
that
myself,
first,
like, how do you keep going?
yeah, because you took the year off, right?
Yeah, this year I'm taking the year off.
Okay, how is like that's kind of like the first year you've taken off, right?
Yeah, I haven't stopped since 2018. Like shooting for a stage, it's always been like there's a show. Okay, we're shooting for that show. Like even if it was off season, I still felt on because I knew I had to get ready for prep to get ready for that stage. And the coach that I had before Casey, um, her method was a little different. It was like, what show do you want to do? Okay, we're X amount of weeks out. Okay, we got to go this hard. Like it wasn't Casey's approach is more like you have an idea of what show you want to do, but we're going to kind of listen to your body, which is what I love a little bit more. Because if you're not ready, then we're not doing that show. So that took me a lot to get used to when I came to Casey. But yeah, so since 2018, we've been going, just going.
So, how has your family been since you've taken this year off? Are they like, I'm falling in love with my wife again? Who is this mom? Mom.
Yeah, we're doing all the things and incorporating all the things food related, and trips. I think the big thing for at least my husband and I are trips. So planning trips are a little easier now because although we've done trips with me on prep, they're not. I don't want to say they're not as fun as they can be, but they're not as flexible as they can be. I can't just
It's
I still have
fun.
to
Yeah.
incorporate yes, yeah. I still have to incorporate training and certain foods and cardio, so I still have to fit that in there. And we did it. I mean, we've done a couple trips with on prep, but I want to be able to be like, you know what, I'm not going to get up and train today. I'm going to sleep in, or we're going to go to the beach first thing in the morning, or oh, I want a fun fruity drink, then I'm going to have that fun fruity drink. So just not having the extra protocols and stress of making sure I'm up.
Yeah, I get that. So, was Tahoe the first trip you did not on prep?
Yes.
I'm so honored. Ah!
Yep.
That was
Like
such
the
a good
first
trip. But you still
real,
went to
like,
the gym.
yes, yeah. And I mean, that to me is like more for me if I really didn't or we really had something big planned, like, no, but we have to be at this place, to do hiking or go wherever to the other side of Tahoe or something at a certain time, then of course I would have not gone to the gym. But
Yeah. Okay. All right. I kind of got ahead of myself, but anyway, so it was after your first show. I just like I love to talk about this process because, like, even though not everyone is going to do a show, um, I the big thing that people get is they don't understand the amount of discipline and time is the biggest one to get the physique that you have or Lindsay or Casey has, right? They still feel like there's some secret sauce that we're holding on to get that physique, right? It's like, no.
right.
So going through after that first show, what was since it sounds like from what you're saying was that's when it kind of locked in for you mentally. Was it
Yeah.
easier after that? What did it look like?
No, so no, because I didn't take a lot of time off, but I took, so reverse dieting was not a big thing when I first started prep or when I first started competing.
Explain reverse dieting just for the people.
So reverse dieting is like when you come off of a calorie deficit for a said show, you start to slowly incorporate, your macros, like your carbs, your fats, and your protein, and you slowly start adding those back up into what would be your maintenance macros to so you don't just gain a bunch of weight or your hormones don't go completely out of whack because you've been in a calorie deficit for so long and your
So you
calories
don't
have been so
yo-yo.
low. Yes. So it was more kind of approached as, to me back then, was like just slowly start incorporating foods and go from there. It wasn't like I wasn't given numbers. Like, I'm a rule follower. So I wasn't given like, you hit this amount, this amount, this amount for this week. And then next check in, we'll add a little more and a little more. It was like, just go ahead and start incorporating foods that you didn't eat before and calories in it. I was like, oh, well, then I'm just going to eat not whatever, but whatever. And so after my first show, I kind of had I don't know what you would call it, but I kind of went overboard, I guess. And so I gained 10 pounds probably in the first 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
And I just ate whatever. I didn't really think about it. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do another show right then. My husband Dan was kind of apprehensive about the whole bodybuilding world.
He's like, you're done, right?
He's like, so that was it, right? Like, you checked it off your list. We're good to go. And then when I approached him, like, hey, I kind of like this a lot. Like, I felt that was fun for me. It was a different world for me. And so he was like, so what does that look like for us? And it was like, well, I want to do another show and I want to go to nationals and I want to try to get my pro card. And he was like, oh boy.
And then what does that look like for us? It sounds like, where does that leave us? This is the talk.
So what are you going to tell me next? No, it was like financial. The financial side of it, it's not a cheap hobby. And he's the breadwinner and I'm the stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, hey, I want to do this super expensive sport and we're just going to go with it. Right. And so he finally was like, if this is what you really want to do, then all right. But we're going to we have to make sure we budget for it. And that was kind of why I liked picking my shows then, because I could budget for that specific show. Because I could look ahead and see how much everything cost. But yeah, so it took a little bit. And then when I came to my coach and told her, I want to do it again, she was like, we've got to start all the way from this beginning, basically, because of the weight I gained, and I kind of reversed backwards, like I didn't maintain, basically.
Oh.
So we did, and I mean, I got right back into it. It was just really hard because it was going from free will eating, what have you, and not tracking to like, all right, boom, like calories are low, cardio is high, training's there, and you've got to eat this specific food and stay away from this specific food. So for me, that was the hardest part, was trying to get back into it. And every show, my body just responded differently. It didn't, I think still to this day, my body doesn't do, like, Casey and I will be like, okay, this peak week you did this. And it was like, well, we're not going to do that this week. So.
So how did you come across Casey? Like, how did you get into her roster?
So my second year competing, I went to a pro show. Like I went to a regional show. It was like a regional/pro show. And so I stayed to watch the pros, and I had seen Casey compete. And I think it was the year she won the San Antonio Pro. And I saw her on stage and was like, who is this? I mean, she just looked so effortless. Her posing, I mean, she made it look easy. And at that time, yes, I wasn't very active on social media. So I was like, well, I guess I could look her up. And when I saw her social media, and I think Nicole has a very similar take on this, was like seeing her eat the foods that she ate, even though she would like
Yeah.
look the way she looked. I was like, what? Like, how do you eat donuts and burgers on prep, but look like that and then, steal the show and make it look so effortless? Like, there's got to be
Ah,
something that I don't know.
she's disrupting the
Yes,
industry.
it's all lies.
Oh.
So I was scared because you kind of do fangirl when you see some of these pros live. And after the show, like, you could see them, and she was taking pictures with somebody that she was with. So I kind of stood there and I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to bother her. So I just stalked her on social media for a while. Yeah. And then it wasn't until right before COVID that I actually finally reached out. I had a separation with my other coach. And I was really like depressed about it. And I was like, I'm never going to compete again. This is ridiculous. I don't want to be in this world. People are mean. And Dan was actually the one who was like, no, you have a goal. Don't give up. Find somebody. And let's do it. Like, do it. And so I did. I reached out to Casey first and one other pro that I had been following. And Casey responded quickly, right away. Like, let's do it. Like, there was no hesitation. And I was like, something just felt right. And I kept going back to her, even though the other person I had reached out to, nothing against her or anything. I mean, it's wonderful. But I just kept teetering back. Like, everything was like, no, this just sounds better. Like, this, something's over here. So then, I told Casey, like, I'd love to be a part of Team Casey. This is my goal. I want to, I'd love to earn my pro card. And she was like, all right, let's do it. So I signed up, and 2020, that was when we
And then you
started.
did it. You
I
did
did
it.
it. She helped
How
me.
many how many shows did you do before, like, leading up to your pro card?
So I did, I want to say 13 shows total, including nationals, before I got my pro card. Yeah, because we're at 15
In
now.
3 years?
Yeah,
2.
18, 19, 20. I got my pro card in 2021.
That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of ran when I came to Casey. My hormones were shot. I had blown up a little bit in my eyes. I had blown up. Casey was like, "No, we're good. We could work with this." I had lost like kind of my fire for competing, but I knew I wanted to get
Maybe your
to
will to
that
live.
goal. Yes, it really was bad. Like, Dan was like, something's not right. I mean, Casey encouraged me to go get my hormones checked, and we the place that I went to out here helped me a lot. But I my body was completely depleted and hormones were shot. So between Casey and the physicians here at New Era Wellness, they helped me. Like, man, it was a long. If you saw my photos of my acne, you'd be like, "What in the world?" It was
No, I
bad.
don't think I did. Oh, you may have shown me separately at one point, but I don't really
Yeah.
remember. So obviously, like, during that time, you're probably not in, like, a really good mood.
No.
So how did you manage that? Like, I don't know, I just think about that. It's like you don't want to project on your partner or your poor little baby boy. And
Yeah.
like, how did you manage that?
So it really came down to two things. One, my husband was like, if this is, there were times that he would say, and not in a mean way at all, but more or less like, if this is how you're going to feel and be, then like, I don't want you to do this anymore. You seem sad. You seem depressed. You don't seem like yourself. And that kind of was like my, not aha moment, but like, oh, like he's right that I chose this. This is what I want to do. So I can't make them suffer. So I had to push myself within prep and out of prep to say, like, okay, if we're going to go out, I'm going to plan ahead. I'm going to bring my meals and I'm not going to make it about me. I'm going to make it about what we're doing. And so he would be like, oh, we want to do this weekend. I'd be like, okay. And I would have my meals set ready to go so that it was easy. And if it was something we had to do early, I would get up earlier and go to the gym and get it done, or just plan around it to where I still got in my time, but didn't take away my time with them. So it was a balance. I hate that word, but it's really like trying to balance it and then not make them suffer for something I chose. Like they're not competing. I am.
Oh.
And then I
Yeah,
make
so
it
basically,
fun.
no, go ahead.
I make it fun with Mason. If I'm training and he's home, and I'm blessed
Oh,
to
yeah.
have a garage gym, so he'll come out with me. And I'm also leading by example too, like showing him that exercise is important. So I remind him, like, mommy's not doing this just to get on stage. I'm doing this so mommy's bones stay strong and muscles stay strong and I stay healthy. And you should do that too. And so he'll come out there and he'll grab the little dumbbells and he'll do stuff, or he'll run on the treadmill and he'll try to make it a challenge. Oh no. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. I think my headphones died.
Oh, it's okay.
He'll make it a challenge and be like, "Oh, did you what level on the treadmill do you get to?" And he'll try to like, so we make it fun.
It's so cute. I love seeing your little Instagram stories where he's flexing with you and his little twiggy arms. It's so cute. I remember at the show that I went to, your pro debut in Pittsburgh. I've told you this before, but I gotta tell the people. That was the first time I met Dan. It was the second time I met you,
Yeah,
and it feels like we've known each other so much longer, right?
it does.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like the second time that I met you, and then never met anybody else before. So we're all sitting together in the audience, and we're like, okay, she's coming up in this next one, and we're like, no, it's the next one, it's the next one, it's the next one. And so we're like, Casey was like, no, it's this one, it's her. And so you get up there, and we're like, which one is she? Because like, even though your hair, like you had it straight thin, which is or not thin, straight.
Yes.
And rather everyone else has it curly, but it seemed like the like four other girls that also had it straight were right next to you. And they also like had, just like your face shape. And I was like, wait, and Mason was like, is that mommy? I'm like, yeah. I was like, wait, no, two over. That's her. And then he just was like, mommy, just like jumping up and down with his little flaily arms in the aisle. Like he even hit a lady on accident at one point. He's like, go, mommy. And everyone was turning and looking, just being like, oh, that's so cute. I even took a look. Did I show you that video? I gotta show you that video.
I think you sent me it too.
It's so cute. like child goals. Like, am I right?
He loves being a part in the shows that he has got to go to. He just loves it. And I tried, that was another part, was like, I didn't always want to make him go to the shows or even make Dan, even though they wanted to support me. It is, especially, unfortunately, like the regional shows or even sometimes a few of the national shows, they're all day events. And it's hard to keep a 5, 6, 7-year-old engaged for that long or sitting for that long. So there were some shows that he would not go to or not get to come to. So that the shows that he would come to, it just made it that much more special.
Oh,
So it's fun.
I bet it was a really long day, and I've been to ones before, but I was just like, I had a headache the whole day for no reason. I don't know why, but no, it was really sweet seeing you up there. And so, what was the show that got your pro card?
So it's called TCM. It's Pittsburgh. It's not the Pittsburgh Pro, but it's I can't think of it's Masters Nationals basically. And it's in Pittsburgh. It's usually in June. And yeah, so it was in Pittsburgh, and that was kind of the purpose of coming back to Pittsburgh, was like stepping on stage where I got my pro card, even though it ended up being at a different venue, but still it was like stepping on stage at the place where I got mine. So it was a year before at the Pittsburgh Masters National show.
What was it like going into that show? Do you like kind of remember it, or were you confident, or like, I don't care?
I actually, that day was so easy, which is something that I'll never forget, because it felt like I didn't stay at the host hotel. I actually stayed across the river, so I kind of was stressed on how that would work, but it worked so effortlessly. The Ubers always seemed to be like a minute away, which is not normal. And everything just flowed nicely. The show was ran nicely. And I remember that morning waking up and telling Casey, like, man, I just feel so calm, which is not me. I'm usually like a basket of nerves. Like, oh my gosh, is my makeup right? Is my hair done good? Did I ruin my tan? And I just felt calm that whole day. But what's funny is after prejudging, when I got off stage, I didn't realize how many girls were up there on stage with me for comparisons for when they do call outs. And I was in the first call outs, but I didn't know where I was standing or how many girls there were. So I was convinced that I had second or third place the entire time. Like, you kind of can gauge based on where you're standing when they call you out for first call out, second call outs, what placing you're going to get. And so I thought I was either second. I didn't know if they would do second over here or third over here or vice versa.
Oh.
I thought the girl next to me was in the middle, which would be considered first place. So I had told Casey, I was already looking at the next show, what to do, because I was like, well, I'm already ready. Like, we could do this show. I'm so close. Like, we could do this. And Casey's like, let's just wait and see what happens. And I think she knew, but she didn't want to tell me. So yeah, that whole afternoon, like between prejudging and finals, I was like, it'll be fine. Like, we'll find another show. We could do it back to back. That way I stay, in the judges, I stay ready and I stay in the judges' mind, like, cause I'm already here. And so, yeah, when they called my number in finals, I just like, I didn't even know what to do. It's so funny in the video. Like, I put my hands up, like, thank you, God. But like, I didn't want to like waste anybody's time. So I like went like this, and then I like came out and just stood like, okay. So I remember coming off the stage and a few girls, like, are you okay? Like, you're not even crying. And I think I was just in so much shock, because I really did not think that I was going to get my pro card that show. I just wanted to call Casey and Dan. That's all I wanted to do. I was like, I want to talk to my husband. I want to talk to Casey, because did that really just happen? And
You're all alone.
Yes. So when I got off stage, and then they don't let you, because I forget that they do. So when you come off after you, they announce top 5, they also have the first place winners come back on stage for overall. And all the first place winners compete for overall placing.
Okay.
So when I got off stage, they're like, come over here, take a picture, and then stay right here. And I was like, I want to call my husband. Like, I want to call Casey. Like, I don't want to stand here. And they're like, because they're going to do overall. And I was like, oh. And I was like, well, I don't really care what overall. Like, I got my pro card. Like, I achieved what I came here for. So I don't even know where I was in that overall placing, or like, there's no placing, but like, I don't even know. I didn't care. It's like,
how sweet.
Yeah. So I didn't cry until I talked to Casey. When we FaceTimed, and she was crying, and then when I saw her tears that like let out, I just started bawling. Like, okay, this is real.
How did you celebrate?
So
I mean, tell me you did something.
I did. So
Okay.
it was like how they do it is there's a pro show the next day. So ideally you could get your pro card and then do your pro debut the next day.
Oh.
So Casey was like, "You know what this means?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have anybody here, and I would really like that pro debut to be with my family. Like, I want my son, if my daughter can come, I want my husband there, and of course, like friends or you or I want people there." And she was like, "I totally understand and I agree." So I actually, one of the girls that was out there that won her pro card used to be on Team Casey too, and that's how I had met her. She was there as well. And her husband and her invited me to a steakhouse. And so we went and had steak and fries and ice
Ugh.
cream. And I had a cookie that I brought that I was like, "Oh, I'll just nibble on that." And I ate the whole thing. I ate the whole thing. It's like
Woo, binge.
cookies, cookies. Yeah, but then the next morning, I was just so high on adrenaline. I got up and I went and worked out, and I did my cardio. Casey's like, "You don't need to do that." I'm like, "I just have all this energy I need to get out." And then I got stuck in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, that's that story of you getting sick because you missed your flight.
Yes, I missed my flight. I was having too much fun sightseeing.
Well, why? I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I would have done the same thing.
Yes.
So you're taking the year off? Is that literal like January to December year?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna
Okay.
approach what next year will look like probably towards the end of this year, probably right before the holidays. Casey and I will sit and discuss what when we kind of want to start competing, and then that'll tell us, when we need to start prep.
What do you have your eye set on?
I do have my eyes set on some. The goal this year kind of was to step on stage at the Nashville Fit Show, because they
Yeah.
do the pro side, bikini side, and I think they do figure too or wellness or. So I would love to do that show, whether it's next year or at some point. I'd love to do that show just because it has a special place in my heart. Team Casey's, one of the sponsors. So like it just, I don't know. And every time I've gone to that show, it just seems so fun. It's all females. It's fun.
Yeah.
But I think I would have to do an early show because we do already have a trip planned in the middle of next year. It's a my family does like a family reunion style trip every 2 years, and next year is supposed to be in Puerto Rico. So I'm like, I as much as I want to compete, I also want to be have a little flexibility for that trip because it's my family, and I got to eat the Puerto Rican food. I can't.
Yeah. Kidding me? Take another year off.
Yeah. Right, Casey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? This was just such a little treat.
Yes. I love
I
it.
can't wait to see you guys again.
Soon.
Do you have Lucky there with you?
He was trying to climb in, but I think the boys just walked in from the park, so he took off running.
Oh, I was gonna say hi to Lucky. That's her dog, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway,
baby.
Yeah, your other baby. Well, anyway, this was such a little sweet treat for me. I don't know when this will be out, but it'll be out eventually. And yeah, where can people find you? What's your socials?
Ooh, so I'm pretty active on Instagram, and that's at Rosada22. And then I do have a Facebook, and I have a private Facebook group for my group training, and I give out nutrition advice and fun little boot camp style workouts that you could do at home to get a little hit in. And that's Unfiltered Health and Wellness. That's something that I'm working on this year. It's a little my own platform. So
Ew. Okay, I'll put it in the show notes, so you'll have to send me the little link if
yes.
you can. Okay. Anyway, Tell everybody I said hi. Can't wait to see you guys. But anyway, you have a good night. It was so good talking to you.
Yes, thank you for having me, and tell Mark I said hello.
I will. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the FFP Alignment Podcast. Please support us by downloading, rating, and recommending us to your friends and family. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at the FitFemme Project. That's FITFEMME Project. And for those of you looking to find their essential balance of lifestyle and fitness, book a free consult by going to thefitfemmeproject.com. That's FITFEMME Project.com and click Apply Now. Until next time, this is the FitFemme Project Alignment Podcast.